Welcome back now, and the race for the White House. No Republican presidential candidate has won Wisconsin since 1984. Donald Trump will try to change that, even though he lost the state's Republican primary in April. It begs the question, can Republicans rally around Trump in time? A new Marquette Law School poll shows Hillary Clinton leading Trump 42 to 35% among registered voters. The lead is 9 among likely voters. But the poll reveals deep unhappiness with the candidates and raises the prospect that a significant number of Republicans and Democrats may not vote for either Trump or Clinton. Charles Franklin is the poll director, and he joins us now to talk about what we found. And we should say that Charles and I do work together at the law school.
Yes.
Let's talk about what we've seen with these candidates. There is this incredible unhappiness with these two presumptive nominees. Have we seen anything like this before, Charles?
No. In fact, if you look at the national polling data all the way back to Jimmy Carter, there have been unpopular candidates before, but none have been as unpopular as either of these two, and both of them are more unpopular than any previous candidate. Some of that does reflect polarization. The opposite party is now very negative about the other party's candidate, and that's true on both sides, and it pulls down the overall numbers, maybe a little artificially. But among independents here in Wisconsin in particular, there are deep misgivings about both of them.
There are a number of warning signs for both candidates and campaigns. For Republicans, enthusiasm seems to be down, at least at this moment.
This was one of the big changes between March and now, between the last stand against Donald Trump, with Ted Cruz winning the primary here, and now with Trump as the presumptive nominee. Republicans were telling us in March that their likely turnout for the fall was 87%. It's fallen to 78%.
It's a big number.
It's a big number, and in comparison, in June of 2012, it was 90%. So a party can't give up 12% of its turnout from 2012 till now and maintain its competitive advantage. Republicans thrive in the state by having extremely high turnout and extremely high turnout in very Republican areas. And this shows some falling off. Now, it may not be permanent. One of the things we know is that enthusiasm rises and falls over the election and tends to rise as we get into the fall.
You asked a question about whether or not the parties, and we'll begin with the Republicans, could unite by November. Are they united now? Will they unite, or could they unite by November? Interesting results.
Here, a very large percentage, nearly half of Republicans say, no, the party's not united, and it still won't be united in November. For Democrats, it's about half that, about 25%.
Still a significant number, though.
Very significant in both parties, just a little worse on the Republican side.
Now, I was going to say, the concern you hear for Democrats, Charles, and we'll spend a little time talking about them, if you're the Clinton campaign, you're wondering what happens to the Bernie Sanders supporters. What did we find the Sanders supporters were thinking about doing?
Yeah, turnout is currently not an issue for Democrats. It's actually gone up just slightly and is a little bit higher than in 2012. So the turnout side is not the Democrats' problem. The problem is Sanders won the state with a substantial majority. But at this point, 25% of Sanders voters say they can't support Clinton or Trump. That's a pretty big number, and a few more say they haven't made up their mind, pushing 33% actually. Only 4% are going over to Donald Trump, so that's good evidence that there's not a lot of hidden Trump support among Sanders voters. But it is showing that Hillary Clinton really needs Bernie Sanders to come out strongly in support of her and to explain to his supporters why that's in their best interest and why it's in the cause's best interest. This was the dance Clinton and Obama played in 2008 as well. There's time for that to come together, but in our data, it's very clear that the reluctance of Sanders people to support Clinton remains an issue for that campaign.
And I've got just a few seconds left, but you did touch on this several times in this conversation. We still have a number of months to go. Things could change.
Absolutely. I think of this as we have just come up on halftime, or maybe we're 2 minutes before halftime. Where the race stands right now is pretty important, but we've still got a half to play. The conventions, which may bring the parties together or may divide them, and then, of course, August, September, and October, and the first week of November.
Here we go. Charles Franklin, the director of the Marquette Law School poll. It's always good to have you on the program.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. And if you'd like to see the results from the entire poll, including the matchup between U.S. Senator Ron Johnson and Russ Feingold, go to the upfront page of WISN.com. Still ahead, you drive them, so you know our roads could use a few repairs, but there's a growing divide over a possible financial fix. The alternative idea being floated by Republican Dewey Strobel. That's when Upfront continues.